Princess Anne's strange secrets revealed, you'll never see her the same again. Princess Anne isn't your typical royal. She's the ultimate rule breaker of the royal family. While everyone else is busy keeping up with the glitz and glam of her relatives, Anne's been off doing her own thing, rewriting the royal rulebook and keeping secrets that'll make even the biggest royal fans say, "Wait, what?" Did you know she once told the Queen herself, "Nope"? And that's just scratching the surface. From her fearless encounter with a kidnapper that almost changed royal history, to her being the only royal with a criminal conviction, yes, you heard that right, Princess Anne has secrets that are anything but ordinary. But how does a princess become the first British royal to get a criminal record? Why did she refuse to give her children titles? And what makes her hide in laundry rooms just to avoid people she dislikes? Stick around, because we're about to reveal Princess Anne's strangest and most controversial secrets. After this, I promise you'll never see her the same way again. Number 1. Kidnap attempt and defiant response. In 1974, Princess Anne found herself in one of the most terrifying situations imaginable: a kidnapping attempt. It happened when her car was ambushed by an armed man, intent on taking her hostage. But Anne's response was far from typical. When ordered to exit the vehicle, she defiantly replied, "Not bloody likely." This phrase would go down in history as one of the most daring moments for a British royal. Here was a princess, just 23 years old at the time, standing her ground in the face of danger, with no trace of fear. It showed a side of her that was tough, outrageous, and completely unshakable. While the situation ended with her safe, thanks to her security detail and some bystanders, the memory of her bold refusal has since become one of the most extraordinary episodes in modern royal history. It speaks volumes about her character, unyielding, unafraid, and unwilling to bend, even under life-threatening circumstances. Number 2. Only royal convicted of a crime. While the British royal family is known for its tradition and often for staying on the right side of the law, Princess Anne's record is slightly different. She made headlines in 2002 for being the only senior royal to have a criminal conviction. Her beloved bull terrier, Dottie, attacked 2 children while out on a walk in Windsor Great Park. The children weren't seriously injured, but the incident sparked a media frenzy. Anne was subsequently convicted under the Dangerous Dogs Act, receiving a fine and a criminal record. The notion that a senior royal could be brought before the courts and found guilty was almost unthinkable at the time. Many saw this as a sign that no one, not even royalty, was above the law. But for others, it was simply another example of Anne's disregard for public opinion. She accepted the fine without any fanfare or apology, adding to her reputation as a royal who does things her own way, without concern for tradition or the scrutiny of the press. Number 3. Blunt and outspoken demeanor. Princess Anne's bluntness is legendary, even within the famously composed world of the British monarchy. She's never been one to mince words, and this has made her both beloved and controversial. A prime example of this was when she was at an official event and told photographers to naff off. It was an unguarded moment that showed her frustration with the constant media attention, something that other royals tend to tolerate, albeit with gritted teeth. Anne, however, has always been different. Her directness means she often speaks her mind, regardless of how it might be perceived. It's a refreshing quality in a world where most public figures are careful to stay within the lines. But it's also made her less popular with some royal watchers who expect more diplomacy. Yet it's precisely this candor that has earned her respect. In a family that often prioritizes public image, Anne's willingness to speak plainly sets her apart. Number 4. Refusal to bow to the Queen in private. One of the more surprising facts about Princess Anne is her stance on bowing to her mother, Queen Elizabeth II, in private. Anne reportedly refused to curtsy to the Queen when they're not in public. To Anne, family is family, and protocol has its limits. This perspective is an intriguing glimpse into the informal dynamics behind the otherwise rigid royal curtain. It shows a side of the royals that's more relatable, a family grappling with normal issues of hierarchy and tradition, albeit on a grander scale. While some view this refusal as disrespectful, others see it as Anne standing her ground and treating her mother as just that, her mother, not the monarch. It's a reminder that the royals are human too, and they have their own ways of navigating complex relationships. Anne's informal approach to family life, contrasted with her public duties, adds another layer to her enigmatic personality. one that doesn't always fit neatly into royal expectations. Number 5. Did not want royal titles for her children. Another major decision that set Anne apart from her royal siblings was her choice not to give her children, Zara and Peter, royal titles. This was a break from centuries of tradition, and it was seen by many as a controversial move. Anne believed that by not bestowing titles, her children would have a better chance at a normal life, free from the pressures that come with being a titled royal. And in many ways, her decision worked. Both Zara and Peter have been able to pursue careers and lifestyles that are much less constrained by royal obligations compared to their cousins. This choice illustrates Anne's practical side. She's always been more interested in giving her children freedom than in adhering to royal norms. However, some saw this as a snub to the institution and a subtle critique of the expectations placed on royals. It's just another way that Anne's proven she's not afraid to do things differently, regardless of how it might be perceived. Number 6. Shunned elaborate weddings. Royal weddings are typically grand, televised events watched by millions around the world, but not for Princess Anne. When she married Timothy Lawrence in 1992, she opted for a small private ceremony in Scotland, a stark contrast to the elaborate weddings of her siblings and children. The reason? Restrictions on remarriages in the Church of England meant that her second wedding could not take place in England. But even if it could, Anne made it clear that she had no interest in a large public affair. The understated ceremony, attended by only a handful of close family and friends, was reflective of Anne's personality: practical, no frills, and deeply private. It was the opposite of what people expected from a royal wedding, which made it both surprising and, to some, controversial. This decision further highlighted Anne's determination to do things on her own terms, away from the public eye, and without the usual pomp and spectacle. Number 7. Lack of affection for media and public. Unlike many members of the British royal family who have worked to foster a positive relationship with the media and the public, Princess Anne's often shown a clear dislike for both. She's made no secret of her irritation with the press, and it's rare to see her engaging in the kind of public fanfare that others in her family seem to embrace. During royal engagements, Anne can come across as detached, even irritated by the proceedings. Her no-nonsense approach contrasts sharply with the modern royal emphasis on relatability and connection. For Anne, duty's about fulfilling obligations, not about winning over the crowd. This attitude has led some to see her as cold or aloof, but it also reflects her strong work ethic. She's focused on the task at hand, not on how it's being perceived. In a world increasingly driven by public image, Anne's reluctance to engage in charm offensives is both unusual and, for some, refreshingly authentic. Number 8. Rough treatment of staff. There have long been whispers that Princess Anne is demanding and, at times, difficult to work for. Known for her rigorous work schedule and her preference for efficiency, she reportedly expects the same from her staff. There are stories of high turnover among her aides, with some describing her as having little patience for mistakes or anything less than total dedication. While such rumors are common for public figures, the reports about Anne paint a picture of someone who demands a lot because she gives a lot herself. She's known for her dedication and her refusal to slow down, even as she gets older. For those who can keep up, she's a hard-working boss who leads by example. But for others, the demands can be overwhelming. This reputation for being tough has contributed to her image as a no-nonsense royal who doesn't have time for the niceties. A stark contrast to the more approachable image cultivated by some of her relatives. Number 9. Controversial stance on fox hunting. Princess Anne has never been one to shy away from expressing her opinions, even when they're not popular. She's a vocal supporter of fox hunting, a sport that's faced intense criticism for its treatment of animals. Despite the backlash, Anne has constantly defended the practice, arguing that it's a part of rural tradition and an important aspect of countryside management. This stance has brought her into direct conflict with animal rights activists and many members of the public who see fox hunting as cruel and outdated. For Anne, however, it's about preserving a way of life that she believes in. Her willingness to stand by her beliefs, regardless of how controversial they are, is a defining aspect of her personality. It's also a reminder that she's not interested in being liked by everyone. Anne's advocacy for fox hunting is just one example of how she's willing to stand apart from the rest of her family, even when it means facing significant criticism. Number 10. Skeptical of modern parenting. Princess Anne's approach to parenting has always been traditional, and in recent years, this has drawn criticism from those who favor a more modern, emotionally open style. Anne was known for her strictness and her belief in discipline, qualities that were very much in line with the norms of her own upbringing. Unlike her brothers, whose children have often spoken about the emotional support they received, Anne's style was decidedly more no-nonsense. She wasn't one for excessive praise or coddling. To some, this approach seems out of touch with modern parenting ideals that emphasize emotional connection and positive reinforcement. However, for Anne, it was about preparing her children for the realities of life. And it seems to have worked, given the successful and independent lives that Zara and Peter have. This unsentimental approach to parenting is another example of how Anne's views often clash with contemporary expectations, but it also speaks to her desire to raise capable, resilient children. Number 11. Avoidance of modern technology. In an era where even the royal families embrace social media and digital outreach, Princess Anne's refusal to adopt modern technology is almost unheard of. She's openly admitted to her dislike of smartphones, preferring instead to use handwritten notes and in-person communication. Unlike her nephews and nieces who are active on social media and use it as a tool to connect with the public, Anne remains resolutely old-fashioned. To her, technology is an unnecessary distraction. This aversion to modern gadgets is both strange and in a way endearing. It's a reminder that despite being part of one of the most scrutinized families in the world, Anne's always done things her own way. Her refusal to engage with the digital world set her apart from the younger generation of royals, who've used technology to redefine their roles. For Anne, the old ways are the best ways, and she's not interested in changing just because the world has moved on. Number 12. Helmetless horse riding. Despite being an accomplished equestrian and someone who's represented Britain in international competitions, Princess Anne's often been seen riding without a helmet. In an age where safety is a top priority and public figures are expected to set an example, this choice has raised eyebrows. Anne's decision to forego a helmet speaks to her old-school attitude, one that values personal freedom over modern safety standards. While many safety advocates have criticized her for this, Anne seems unfazed. To her, riding is something she's done her whole life, and she's comfortable taking the risks that come with it. It's another instance where she's shown a disregard for what others think she should do, opting instead to follow her own instincts. This behavior is part of what makes her such a compelling figure. She's fiercely independent and unapologetically herself, even when that means facing public criticism for something as seemingly simple as wearing a helmet. Number 13. Unsentimental approach to fashion. Princess Anne is not your typical royal fashion icon. While her peers and younger family members are often praised for their style choices, Anne has taken a very different approach. She's known for recycling outfits that are decades old, often wearing the same clothes to multiple events over the years. Her attitude towards fashion is unsentimental and, at times, almost rebellious. She doesn't see the point in following trends or spending money on new clothes when the ones she has are perfectly serviceable. This approach has earned her both criticism and admiration. On one hand, some see it as a refusal to conform to the expectations placed on royal women, expectations that often emphasize appearance over substance. On the other hand, it's a sign of her practicality and her focus on what she considers important. For Anne, fashion is functional, not a statement. It's just another way in which she refuses to play by the rules, setting her apart from her more style-conscious relatives. Number 14. Hid in a laundry room to avoid guests. In a moment that's both amusing and telling, Princess Anne reportedly once hid in a laundry room during an event to avoid a guest she found particularly tiresome. It's a story that's relatable to anyone who's ever found themselves stuck in a conversation they'd rather not have. But it's also a surprising glimpse into the life of a royal. While most members of the royal family are trained to endure small talk and maintain diplomacy at all times, Anne's decision to simply hide away speaks to her no-nonsense attitude. She's not interested in putting on a show or pretending to enjoy something she doesn't. It's an unusual behavior for a royal, but it's also one that makes her seem more human. In a world where every move is scrutinized, Anne's willingness to do what she wants, even if it means hiding in a laundry room, is both strange and refreshingly honest. Number 15. Blunt comments on royal duties. Princess Anne's never been shy about expressing her views on royal duties. And she's made it clear that she disapproves of those who treat their role as a celebrity lifestyle. She once criticized some members of the family for playing to the gallery, a comment that many interpreted as a dig at younger royals who have embraced media attention. For Anne, being a royal is about hard work, not about fame. She's one of the hardest working members of the family, consistently carrying out hundreds of engagements each year, often without much fanfare. Her blunt comments are a reminder that she sees her role as a duty, not as an opportunity for personal gain or public adoration. This stance has made her both respected and, at times, misunderstood. While some appreciate her dedication and her focus on service, others see her comments as out of touch with a changing world, where royals are expected to be more accessible and relatable. Number 16. Close relationship with first husband despite divorce. Despite her divorce from Mark Phillips in 1992, Princess Anne's maintained a close relationship with her first husband. They still often appear at events together, particularly those involving their children and grandchildren. This ongoing connection has led to speculation and gossip over the years, especially given that Anne's second husband, Timothy Lawrence, is often absent from these family gatherings. It's an unusual arrangement, especially within the context of the royal family, where divorces are often accompanied by a clear distancing between the former spouses. For Anne, though, family comes first, and she's never let her personal relationships interfere with her duties as a mother and grandmother. Her ability to maintain a cordial relationship with Phillips is a testament to her pragmatic approach to life. It's not about holding grudges or adhering to societal expectations. It's about doing what's best for her family. This close relationship, despite their divorce, adds yet another layer to Anne's complex and often unconventional life. Number 17. No patience for handshaking protocol. In a candid moment, Princess Anne once expressed her confusion over why royals should be expected to shake hands with every person they meet during official engagements. To her, the practice seemed unnecessary and detracted from the broader purpose of the event. This comment, while surprising to some, is perfectly in line with Anne's practical nature. She's not interested in ceremonial gestures that she feels serve no real purpose. Instead, she prefers to focus on the substance of her engagements, whether it's supporting a charity or recognizing achievements. Her blunt stance on handshaking is another example of how she's willing to question even the most deeply ingrained aspects of royal protocol. While some might see this as a lack of warmth, others appreciate her focus on what she considers to be the most important aspects of her role. It's yet another way in which Anne stands apart from the rest of her family, refusing to conform simply because it's expected. Number 18. Rumored hostility toward Diana. There were always rumors that Princess Anne and Princess Diana had a strained relationship, largely due to their contrasting approaches to royal life. Diana's warmth, openness, and embrace of public attention were in stark contrast to Anne's reserved, no-nonsense demeanor. While Diana was adored by the public and often seen as the people's princess, Anne preferred to keep her distance from the spotlight, focusing on her duties without much regard for how she was perceived. This difference in style reportedly led to a lack of warmth between the two. Anne's skepticism towards Diana's celebrity-like approach to royal duties was seen by some as jealousy, while others believed it was simply a clash of personalities. Whatever the truth, their rumored hostility was a reminder of the complex dynamics within the royal family. It highlighted the fact that despite the united front they often present, the royals are just like any other family, full of differing personalities, sometimes clashing, sometimes coexisting. Number 19. Unenthusiastic about The Crown. With the global success of Netflix's The Crown, many have wondered what the real royal family thinks of the show. Princess Anne's made her feelings quite clear. She doesn't watch it and believes much of it is inaccurate. Her dismissive attitude towards the series is unsurprising, given her no-nonsense personality. Anne's never been one to indulge in the glamorization of royal life, and she's certainly not interested in watching a dramatized version of her own experiences. Her comments about The Crown reflect her general disdain for media portrayals of the royal family, which she often feels are sensationalized or misleading. While some royals, like her brother King Charles, have reportedly watched the show with curiosity, Anne's refusal to engage with it is a reminder of her desire to keep her life, and her family's life, as private as possible. It's another instance of her setting herself apart, choosing not to participate in the global fascination with the royal family's inner workings. Number 20. Refusing bodyguards. Perhaps one of the most surprising aspects of Princess Anne's personality is her refusal at times to have personal bodyguards. Given that she survived a kidnapping attempt in 1974, this decision is both strange and revealing. Anne's fierce independence is well documented, and a reluctance to rely on security personnel is part of that. She never wanted to feel constrained or overly protected, even if that means taking risks that others would avoid. This stance has led to raised eyebrows, especially considering the potential dangers involved. But for Anne, it's about maintaining a sense of personal freedom. She doesn't want to live her life surrounded by a wall of security, and she's willing to take the risks that come with that choice. It's a reflection of her toughness and her desire to live on her own terms, without being dictated to by fear or protocol. Refusing bodyguards, especially after what she's experienced, is perhaps one of the clearest examples of her fiercely independent spirit. Princess Anne is not your typical royal, and that's precisely what makes her so fascinating. She's lived her life unapologetically, standing up for what she believes in, refusing to bow to unnecessary formalities, and doing things her way, even if it means being controversial. Whether it's defying a kidnapper, dismissing royal traditions, or choosing authenticity over appearance, Princess Anne is a royal who redefines what it means to belong to the House of Windsor. Love her or hate her, one thing's for sure, she's never boring. And as for that, she's earned her place as one of the most interesting members of the British royal family. Which of these secrets surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and share it with your friends. And subscribe to our channel for more exciting videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!